I want to wind up this quick introduction by talking about saving. Of course, Pro Tools will prompt you to save a file when you try and leave or close a session, but you want to save a session periodically as you're working with it. That should be obvious. You can do that in many ways. You can save a file at any time by clicking Command S. Even while a song is playing, you can hit Command S. And there's a little clue that Apple has on all applications, and that is when you see a little dot in the red circle, that means that the session has not been saved. If I save it now, you'll see the dot goes away. If I make some changes, let's say I move this here, all of a sudden my dot's back. That tells me I haven't saved the file. Now save will save under whatever the current name is. I can save as, which saves under a different name. I can save copy in, which takes the entire session, and if I want all of the audio files and puts it in a separate place, creates another one of those folders that I showed you earlier with all of the appropriate settings and audio files and video files and so forth. This sometimes gets very important, especially if you're moving a session from one place to another or giving it to someone else. You may, for whatever reason, have files that have gotten out of the folder, have been placed elsewhere on other disks, and Save Copy In will consolidate that and put them all in one place. When you use Save Copy In, if you want to capture all the audio files, you want to copy by checking this box here, and that will bring all the audio files or copies of all the audio files into your new session folder. There's one other thing that I want to mention, and we're going to take our first look at the Preferences menu under the Pro Tools main menu. Under the Operation tab, there's an option here for Auto Backup. Auto Backup will save your session automatically in the background every 5 minutes in my case, although you can change that, and it will keep up to 10 or whatever you set there, recent backups. Now this is wonderful because no matter what you say, you are going to forget to save your session. And when the system crashes, when your power goes out or something happens, it's really nice to know that you have a backup that's no older than 5 minutes old. Now how do we get that back? Well, let's again take a look at our session folder. If I look at the Stillwater folder, let's take a look in this view, you'll see in my folder here with everything else, there's a folder called Session File Backups. And here are the most recent, in my case, 10 backups that the system has already made automatically. 1033, 1038, 1043, and so forth. So if my system goes down, I can get back to the session at 1048, just bring this up, resave it under a new name, I'm right back to where I was. This is also very useful when you're working with a session and you're making lots of changes and you say, oh no, I want to go back to the version I was using last hour. But you've been saving over top what you've been doing. If you have enough backup sessions or session file backups, you can go back to that session you did an hour ago and pull it right back up. The other thing I want to mention very quickly is if you're working in a session and let's say I make some changes, I move this over here up, I don't mean to do that. I want to go back to what I had when I last saved this document. I can always go up to my File menu and choose Revert to Saved. It will give me a warning. Do I want to revert to the last saved version? Now this does not count all of those backups, those automatic backups. This is the last one that I purposely saved. And I click Revert and it will reopen the file from the last save version. The bottom line is that there are many, many ways of saving your session, both manually and automatically. And you want to do both and couple that with a good backup strategy where you're taking that session folder and periodically backing it up to another hard disk and preferably in another location. You'll be protected if anything goes wrong, or if you ever, for whatever reason, lose a session, you'll have a backup somewhere.